Hi, and welcome to the 6th section of the course, Web Clients and APIs. Working with APIs and writing web clients can be a tricky subject. Different APIs have different types of authorization, authentication, and protocols. We'll explore the http.Client struct object working with OAuth2 clients with long-term token storage, and finish off with gRPC with an additional REST interface. Now, we move on to the first video of this section that deals with initializing, storing, and passing http.Client structs. The GoNet HTTP package exposes a flexible http.Client struct for working with HTTP APIs. This struct has separate transport functionality and is relatively simple to short-circuit requests, modify headers for each client operation, and handle any REST operations. Creating clients is a very common operation, and this video will start with the basics of working and creating an http.Client object. From your console application, create Section 6 directory. Inside that, create Client directory, and navigate to it. Create a file, client.go, and add this code. Let's see what it does. The setup function first configures our client and redefines the global default client. Sometimes for testing, we want to turn off SSL verification. For that, we have defined this if loop. The type struct NOP transport is a non-operational transport. Round-trip function here implements round-tripper interface. Note, this is an uninitialized response if you're looking at headers, etc. Moving on, create a file exec.go with these contents. The do-ops function takes a client, then fetches google.com. The default get.go.lang function uses the default client to get golang.org. Next, create a file store.go. Add this code to the file. Here, we have defined type struct controller, which embeds an http.client and uses it internally. And we have defined do-ops with a controller object here. After this, create a new directory example and navigate to it. Also, create a main.go file. This is the code you'll have to add. We import the client package according to our path, and then, inside the main function, we define secure operational with this line. Secure non-operational also modifies default. Time to test the code. So, run main.go. You'd get an output like this. It fetches the result from default get.go.lang, do-ops, client.do-ops, and default get.go.lang. Let's try and understand how this works. The net HTTP package exposes a default client package variable, which is used by the internal operations, do, get, post, and so on. Our setup function returns a client and sets the default client to be the same. When setting up a client, most of your modifications will take place in the transport, which only needs to implement the round-tripper interface. This video gave an example of a no-op round-tripper that always returns a 418 status code. You can imagine how this might be useful for testing. We also passed in clients as function arguments, used them as struct parameters, and used the default client to process requests. Great!